HALALYAM YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM QADASH MASHANA KABAD LAHA MALAAKIM WAZAQUANIYAM SHAL BADOL SHALOM BARAKIM AL NAWA ARWAN RATAZA NACHNAWA HAYA SHAHABACHAYAR ZAACHAWA IBAD ARIA MAYANAJI MESROLANO Camp. I'm just doing some meditation in transit this morning about how the Heavenly Father has not given us a spirit of fear, but the spirit of, boldness, strength, faith, a sound mind. And it takes me back to the accounts of, Joshua, Caleb, Phineas, the Maccabean brothers, the apostles. We are, part of our heritage is that we're warriors. We're very masculine, strong men. Even going into Maccabees, second Maccabees, the 7th chapter, the 7 young brethren, and then their mother. Alright, their mother also having a Judith as well. A Susanna. Look at the generations of old, man. Like it says in Sirach, 2nd chapter. So we've always had a sound mind and a faithful spirit. The men and the women. We've always been very strong in YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. We always stood for righteousness, no matter what the circumstance looked like. And we ultimately disregarded the danger, disregarded the threats against our lives when it came to serving YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI in spirit and in truth, and when it came to doing what was right, what was necessary to the spirit. I've been meditating more on how Esau is really setting things up to persecute us in very, very great wrath. He's, the narrative has been set, the stage has been set, the technology, the tools, the devices, the wicked devices that is allowing his craft to prosper. It's there. It's all there. When you look at these different movies and you see they show you that in The Accountant 1 and 2, they show you that in War of the Worlds, that new movie with Ice Cube. As cheesy as it was, they show you the technology that Edom has access to, that the government has access to. And now the IDF, well, they Ben had access to it, but now, being merged with our military, that only brings them, that much closer to, having free reign to do whatever they want with you Babylonian citizens, man. Now, mind you, we're in the midst of all this. But guess what? It's no different than the ancient Greek Empire. It's no different than the ancient Roman Empire. It's no different than the ancient Babylonian, Egyptian, all of our captivities. But what is different is that we're in a time where a standard is going to be lifted. A very powerful, spiritual force. That is YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, the Spirit of the Lord in His men, is going to be raised up in order to defend ourselves from the proud waters. Because the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, is described as a flood. The enemy coming in like a flood, proud waters. When you go into, I was just listening to the brother from from Charlotte, the brother, beautiful brother Yawam. I learned a lot of Hebrew from him. When you go into the letter, the Hebrew letter Ma, the character Ma, right? If you know what the Ma looks like, it's like an M with a line. And that symbolically represents water, waves. You know what I'm saying? And you read about how the Apostle Paul would describe, being shipwrecked. The account of Joshua sleeping on the ship while everyone else is panicking. He's like, listen, it's me. The Most High God of the Hebrews is upset with me. Cast me overboard and the waters will calm down. Showing you the spirit, like we knew we were in tune with the Lord. Not Joshua, I'm sorry, Jonah. Okay. And then Yahawashi, when he rebuked the waves when they were, traveling by sea, and they were like, what manner of man is this that even the oceans and the winds obey him? And then I was watching a video. Yeah, that was the video. It was the brother Yawam's video. He was going into this guy, ex-military, whatever. He's seen combat, he's seen all manner of things, and yet what terrified him the most, his most fearful moment in life, was being out at sea in the dark, in the rain, with tempestuous waves. That's like the ultimate feeling of helplessness. When you're in the waters, Mayam, right? You are at the mercy of the Lord entirely. You're always at the mercy of the Lord, but that's a time where it's so undeniable, the power. You're at his whim. He can do whatever he wants with you. There's nothing you can do to stop the waves of the ocean. Even if you ever experience the beach and you go deep enough into the water, that shit is pushing and pulling. I remember when I was like 12, 13 years old, I went to the beach for the first time. That shit traumatized me low key, because I went a little too far for my little body at the time. And that shit just put me into a whole barrel roll. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going into the water again. Because I was just like, damn, like if I get up in them waves, there's nothing I can do. So you on a boat that could get damaged, a hole in the ship, it's over. And then you can barely even navigate, and you still got to go out there and do what you got to do. It's a very fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And the waters being described that way, the waters being one of the clearest examples of that. For Esau to be described as proud waters, a flood, it's over. I mean, look at when you look at the technology that Esau is showing us he has access to, where he can go hit a CCTV camera somewhere hidden on the street. Them lamp posts that you think is just a street lamp, no, that shit is a camera. He has 4K HD, zoom into your phone, zoom into your face. The nigga knows where I'm going right now. He knows what time I left the crib. He knows my schedule, routine, everything. The Esau can roll up on us and just, we're powerless, vulnerable, powerless, quote unquote. Well, that's the thing that's going to confound this devil. That standard being lifted of ultimate power, spiritual power, a mouth and wisdom which ye shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. But here's the thing. If you doubt, if you are scared, then will you not be defended. So that's why I started out with, he's not giving us a spirit of fear, but of a sound mind, strength, faith, power, boldness, as a lion. And you know, lions biologically have like some I heard from brothers at least, which I'm inclined to believe it, considering if you observe lions in the wild, they're fearless. They'll just sit there sleeping, legs up, chilling. Where I saw a video of a wild coyote creeping up on it, nibble on his tail a little bit, still scared as hell of the lion. Like, lion, that's an apex predator. You don't got shit to fear. And apparently, biologically, they have something where they can turn off fear. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we have to embody that spirit, the boldness of a lion. Not to the point where you put yourself in danger, where you're reckless or anything, but knowing I'm not putting my hand forth to do any iniquity. I'm serving the Lord in spirit and in truth. You know, I'm following the path of my master YAHAWASHI. What do I have to be afraid of? What do YAHAWASHI is on my side? I will not fear. What can man do unto me? You know, so we have to really embody that. Really embody that. We have nothing to fear. You need to really believe that, understand that, and know that. Okay? As this devil comes down with greater and greater wrath, you cannot fear him. Alright? The Lord's going to defend us just as he always has. So I'll close it out right there. I'm coming up on my destination. I don't want to desires as edifying, exhorting, and uplifting to the spirit and power of YAHAWAH and His. Shalom to the elect.